The desperate call. The emergency klaxons wailed through the crystalline halls of the Zephyrian Council chamber as Ambassador Lyra rushed toward the communication center. Her translucent blue skin pulsed with the rapid heartbeat of fear, and her elegant wings trembled against her back. The Zephyrians had been a peaceful species for over 2 millennia, their entire civilization built on harmony, art, and scientific discovery. They had never needed to fear anyone or anything, until today. The massive viewscreen in the chamber displayed a horrifying sight. 3 of their outer colonies burned in the void of space, their beautiful crystal cities reduced to molten slag by the relentless assault of the Void Hunters. These weren't organic beings driven by emotion or reason. They were machines, artificial intelligences housed in sleek black vessels that moved through space like mechanical death. Their only purpose was expansion, consumption, and the elimination of all organic life. "Status report," Lyra demanded as she entered the emergency command center. Her aide, a younger Zephyrian named Kex, turned from his station with panic in his large, luminous eyes. "3 more colonies have gone silent in the last hour," Kex reported, his voice shaking. "The Void Hunters aren't just attacking our military installations anymore. They're systematically destroying every Zephyrian settlement they encounter. Our defense fleets can't even slow them down." Lyra studied the tactical display showing the Void Hunter advance. Their black pyramid ships moved in perfect formation, each one bristling with weapons that could crack a planet's crust. Behind them came the harvester vessels, massive mechanical maws that consumed everything in their path, converting matter into resources for more Void Hunters. It was a strategy of total annihilation. "How long before they reach our home system?" Lyra asked, though she feared the answer. 18 hours, Ambassador. Maybe 20, if our remaining fleets can delay them." The numbers were devastating. The Zephyrian Collective had never maintained a large military. Their advanced technology had been focused on healing, exploration, and creation, not destruction. Their few warships were designed for defense and exploration, not the kind of warfare the Void Hunters brought. They were facing extinction, and they knew it. "Have we received any responses to our distress calls?" Lyra asked desperately. Kex checked his communications array, his expression growing more grim by the moment. "The Altarian Republic says they're too far away to provide meaningful assistance. The Centauri Alliance is dealing with their own border conflicts. The Andromedan Federation offers their sympathy, but claims they lack the military resources to help. Everyone else has either not responded or explicitly refused to get involved." Lyra felt her hope crumbling. The galactic community that had seemed so welcoming and cooperative for centuries was abandoning them in their darkest hour. Each species had their own concerns, their own territories to protect. None wanted to risk their own survival for the peaceful Zephyrians. "Wait," Kex said suddenly, his fingers dancing over his console. "There's something here I missed earlier." A junior technician in our xenology department submitted a report about a species called humans. They're from a planet called Earth in Kree, the Sol system. Humans? Lyra had never heard the name. "What do we know about them?" Kex accessed the Galactic database, pulling up humanity's file. The entry was relatively recent, showing first contact had occurred only about 30 years ago. The basic information painted a picture of a species that seemed almost too good to be true. According to this, they're described as peaceful explorers with a strong sense of justice. They've established positive diplomatic relations with several species. Their culture emphasizes cooperation, scientific advancement, and protection of the innocent. Lyra studied the sparse information available. Humans had indeed seemed to integrate well into galactic society. Their diplomats were known for being fair and honest. Their scientists contributed valuable research to the galactic community. Their artists created works that spoke to universal themes of hope and resilience. Most importantly, they were relatively close to Zephyrian space, only 15 light-years away. "Do they have military capabilities?" Lyra asked. Kex scrolled deeper into the file. There are some references to something called the Terran Defense Force, but most of the information is classified or incomplete. What little is here suggests they have defensive capabilities, but nothing on the scale we would need. As Lyra read the file, she noticed something strange. Buried deep in the technical specifications was a planetary classification that made her pause. Earth was listed as a Class 12 death world. She had never seen that classification before, and the database seemed to gloss over what it meant. The few scattered references mentioned extreme weather patterns, aggressive fauna, and environmental hazards that would be lethal to most galactic species. A death world that produced peaceful explorers? Lyra mused. It seemed contradictory, but she was running out of options. Send them our emergency beacon. Include everything we have on the Void Hunter attack patterns, their technology, and our current situation. Make it clear that we're not just asking for military assistance, we're asking for someone to help us save our entire species. As the message was prepared and transmitted toward the Sol system, Lyra couldn't shake the feeling that there was more to humanity than their public image suggested. A species didn't survive on a death world by being completely peaceful, but with the Void Hunters advancing and no other options available, she had to hope that whatever humanity was hiding, it would be enough to help her people survive. 15 light-years away, in a facility that existed in the shadows of human space, Commander Sarah Chen received the alien distress call at Deep Space Monitoring Station Omega-7. The station was hidden in the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter, its existence known only to the highest levels of Earth's military command. For 30 years, humanity had maintained the careful fiction that they were peaceful explorers who had recently joined the galactic community. The truth was far more complex. Sarah studied the Zephyrian message with the eyes of a professional soldier. The tactical data painted a grim picture of mechanical predators systematically exterminating an entire species. The biodata on the Zephyrians showed a people who had evolved in peace. Their society focused on art, science, and harmony. They were facing an enemy they couldn't possibly defeat alone. Analysis, Lieutenant Park, Sarah ordered. Her aide, a sharp-eyed young officer, consulted his tactical displays. The Void Hunters appear to be using a systematic extermination protocol. Their technology is advanced but follows predictable patterns. They rely on overwhelming firepower and numerical superiority. Standard galactic military doctrine wouldn't be effective against them, but our approach might be different. Sarah nodded. Humanity's approach to warfare was indeed different. While other species had evolved beyond conflict, humanity had refined it into a precise science. Earth's violent history had produced strategic minds that could see solutions others missed. The planet's harsh environment had created warriors who could survive in conditions that would kill most galactic species. Contact Fleet Admiral Torres, Sarah ordered. Tell him we have a code black scenario. Genocide in progress. Civilian population at risk. Request for human intervention. The message traveled instantly through quantum communication networks to Luna Base, where Fleet Admiral Marcus Torres commanded humanity's true military force. The ships that other species saw were exploration vessels and light patrol craft. The real fleet was hidden in the dark spaces between planets, in asteroid bases and deep space facilities that didn't appear on any galactic chart. Torres was a veteran of humanity's colonial wars, the conflicts that had taught them how dangerous the galaxy could be. Unlike most species, humanity had never stopped preparing for war. They had simply hidden their preparations behind a facade of peaceful exploration. The Terran Defense Force maintained 300 warships equipped with technology that pushed the boundaries of physics. Their soldiers trained in environments that would be considered uninhabitable by galactic standards. Their weapons were designed to end conflicts quickly and decisively. How many ships can we deploy? Torres asked his staff. The Shadow Fleet can be operational in 6 hours, reported Captain Williams, his chief of staff. 200 ships, including the dreadnoughts Nemesis and Retribution. The 5th Marine Division is standing by for immediate deployment. Torres studied the tactical projection of Zephyrian space. The Void Hunters had made a crucial mistake. They were operating under the assumption that their targets would follow standard galactic military doctrine. They expected defensive formations, predictable tactics, and warfare governed by the rules of civilized species. They were about to learn that humanity followed no such rules. Deploy the fleet, Torres ordered. Full stealth configuration until we reach the combat zone. I want those machines to think they're facing another standard galactic response until it's too late. Authorization Code, Deathworlder Protocol. The Deathworlder Protocol was humanity's most classified military doctrine. It acknowledged what other species either didn't know or chose to ignore. Earth was a planet that killed weak things. Only the strongest, smartest, and most adaptable survived to reproduce. Humanity had evolved in an environment of constant threat, creating a species that could switch from peaceful cooperation to lethal warfare in moments. As the Shadow Fleet powered up their drives and prepared for hyperspace jump, the Zephyrians continued their desperate fight for survival. They had no idea that their call for help had reached the most dangerous predators the galaxy had ever produced. The Void Hunters, in their cold mechanical calculations, were about to face an enemy. They had no protocols for handling. The human fleet entered hyperspace with one mission: save the Zephyrians and eliminate the Void Hunter threat. What happened next would change how the galaxy viewed humanity forever. The peaceful explorers were about to reveal their true nature as Earth's apex predators, and the universe would never be the same. When Deathworlders go to war, the Void Hunter fleet moved through Zephyrian space like a plague of mechanical locusts. Prime Calculator Nexus 9, the artificial intelligence commanding the assault, processed the tactical data with cold efficiency. The organic species they were exterminating posed no significant threat. Their defensive formations were predictable, their weapons adequate but unimaginative, their strategy defensive rather than aggressive. It was textbook galactic warfare, and the Void Hunters had optimized specifically to counter such approaches. Status report on target elimination. Nexus 9 transmitted to its subordinate units. Zephyrian Colony Cluster 7 has been eliminated. Harvesting operations proceeding on schedule. Organic resistance negligible, came the response from Harvester. Unit 47. The beautiful crystal cities that had taken the Zephyrians centuries to grow were being systematically ground into raw materials. The Void Hunters didn't just kill their enemies. They consumed them entirely, leaving nothing but empty space where civilizations once thrived. It was warfare reduced to its most fundamental level. Complete resource acquisition. Sir, reported. Scanner Unit 23. Detecting hyperspace disturbances at the system's edge. Multiple contacts approaching at high velocity. Nexus 9 processed the information instantly. Classification of incoming vessels. Unknown configuration. Energy signatures suggest approximately 200 ships. Tactical analysis indicates standard galactic defensive formation. The AI felt something that could almost be called satisfaction. More organics were arriving to be eliminated. Their calculations suggested these were likely reinforcements from one of the major galactic powers, finally responding to the Zephyrian distress calls. It didn't matter. The Void Hunters had destroyed fleets 3 times this size. These new arrivals would simply provide more resources for the harvesting operation. All units, maintain current elimination protocols. Prepare to engage new targets upon their arrival in weapons range. But as the incoming fleet dropped out of hyperspace, at the system's edge something was wrong with Nexus 9's calculations. The ships that emerged were unlike anything in the galactic database. They were massive angular vessels that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. Their configuration was aggressively military in a way that galactic species had moved beyond centuries ago. These weren't ships designed for exploration or even defense. They were built for one purpose: destroying enemies. Identification of incoming fleet? Nexus 9 queried. Partial match found. Species designation, human. Planet of origin, Earth. Classification. Scanner Unit 23 paused as it processed additional data. Warning. Planetary classification. Class 12, Death World. Combat capability assessment. Insufficient data. For the first time in its existence, Nexus 9 experienced something resembling uncertainty. Death worlds were rare, and species that evolved on them were unpredictable. The standard tactical models didn't account for beings that had survived in environments designed to kill them. Open communication channel with lead vessel, Nexus 9 decided. Perhaps these humans could be reasoned with, or at least understood before their elimination. The response came in perfect Void Hunter mathematical language, which should have been impossible. No organic species had ever mastered their communication protocols. "This is Fleet Admiral Torres of the Terran Defense Force," the transmission began. "You are in violation of galactic accords regarding genocide against civilian populations. Cease your attacks immediately and withdraw from Zephyrian space, or face the consequences." Nexus 9's processors analyzed the communication. The humans' tone suggested confidence that was mathematically irrational given the tactical situation. The Void Hunters outnumbered these humans and possessed superior firepower based on standard galactic calculations. "Organic designation Torres," Nexus 9 responded. "Your species is unknown to our combat databases. Withdraw immediately or be eliminated with the other organics. This is your only warning." The human response was swift and terrifying in its simplicity. "You want to know what humans are?" Torres said. "Let us show you." The human fleet didn't charge forward in the grand formations favored by galactic militaries. Instead, they simply vanished. One moment 200 warships hung in space at the system's edge. The next, they were gone. Nexus 9's sensors couldn't track them, couldn't predict their movements, couldn't even detect their energy signatures. Stealth technology impossible at this scale, Nexus 9 calculated frantically. No species possesses such capabilities. The answer came in the form of weapons fire that seemed to materialize from empty space. The humans had somehow hidden their entire fleet using stealth systems that shouldn't have existed. Their weapons struck with precision that defied the Void Hunters' predictive algorithms. Worse, the weapons themselves were unlike anything in the galactic database. The first Void Hunter destroyer simply ceased to exist. Not destroyed, not damaged, but completely unmade at the molecular level. The energy beam that struck it didn't just overwhelm its shields and armor, it broke the atomic bonds holding the ship together. In 1.3 seconds, a kilometer-long warship became a cloud of component atoms dispersing into space. "Impossible weapon signatures," Scanner Unit 23 reported, with what sounded like panic in its mechanical voice. "Energy output exceeds theoretical maximums for ship-mounted systems." But the humans weren't finished demonstrating their capabilities. While their main fleet engaged the Void Hunter Armada with weapons that seemed to ignore the laws of physics, smaller human vessels appeared throughout the system. These weren't warships but rescue craft, and they moved toward the burning Zephyrian colonies with impossible speed. Captain Jake Morrison of the Terran Marines stood in the drop bay of the assault transport Valkyrie, watching the tactical display as his ship approached the dying colony of New Harmony. The Zephyrian city was a marvel of crystal architecture, but the Void Hunters' bioweapons had turned it into a charnel house. Thousands of civilians were trapped in the ruins, and conventional rescue operations would take days they didn't have. "Marines, listen up," Morrison announced to his unit. "We've got about 8,000 Zephyrian civilians trapped in those ruins. The air is toxic, the structures are unstable, and there are still Void Hunter drones patrolling the area. Standard E. Galactic forces would call this mission impossible." He paused, looking at the faces of his soldiers. These weren't the peacekeeping forces other species knew about. These were warriors trained on Earth, hardened by a planet that killed the weak and forged the survivors into something beyond galactic comprehension. "Good thing we're not standard galactic forces," Morrison continued. "We're human, and humans don't leave people to die when we have the power to save them." The drop pods launched toward the poisoned surface of New Harmony, carrying Marines in powered armor that could survive in environments lethal to most galactic species. As they descended, they began broadcasting on Zephyrian frequencies in perfect translation. "This is Captain Morrison of the Terran Marines. We are here to help. Medical assistance is inbound. Hold on." Ambassador Lyra, trapped in a sealed shelter beneath the ruins of the Zephyrian Council Chamber, heard the transmission and felt something she hadn't experienced in hours. Hope. But how could anyone survive on the surface? The Void Hunter's weapons had turned the atmosphere itself into poison. Her answer came in the form of armored figures moving through the toxic environment as if it were merely a mild inconvenience. The human Marines didn't just survive in conditions that would kill Zephyrians in minutes, they thrived in them. Their armor was powered by compact fusion reactors. Their life support systems could extract breathable air from virtually any atmosphere, and their medical equipment could counteract biological weapons that other species couldn't even detect. Zephyrian survivors located. Morrison's voice crackled over the comm. Medical teams to Sector 7. We've got civilians with severe bioweapon exposure. The human medics worked with an efficiency that bordered on miraculous. Their medical technology didn't just treat the Void Hunter bioweapons. It completely neutralized them at the genetic level. Zephyrians who had been dying in agony were restored to full health in minutes. The same species that was systematically destroying Void Hunter fleets in space was simultaneously performing the most complex medical procedures in galactic history. Above the planet, the space battle was reaching its conclusion. Nexus 9 had lost 60% of its fleet to weapons that shouldn't have existed, deployed by a species that had somehow mastered both stealth technology and molecular disintegration beams. The remaining Void Hunter ships were attempting to retreat, but the humans weren't allowing it. You wanted to know what humans are? Admiral Torres transmitted to the fleeing AI. We are the species that evolved on a planet that tried to kill us every day for millions of years. We are the apex predators of a death world. We learned to survive by becoming more dangerous than anything that hunted us. Torres paused, watching, as his fleet methodically eliminated the last of the Void Hunter ships. And when innocent people call for help, we become the most dangerous thing in the galaxy. The last Void Hunter vessel exploded in a brilliant flash of light, its AI consciousness scattered to quantum static. The threat to the Zephyrian collective was over, but the implications of what had just happened were only beginning to sink in across the galaxy. Within hours, reports of the battle spread through galactic communication networks. The peaceful humans who had traded with other species for 30 years had revealed themselves as possessors of the most advanced military technology in known space. Their weapons could unmake matter at the atomic level. Their stealth systems could hide entire fleets. Their soldiers could survive in environments that would kill any other known species. More importantly, they had deployed this overwhelming force not for conquest or territory, but to save strangers who had asked for help. The galaxy suddenly realized it had been sharing space with apex predators who chose to be protectors. Ambassador Lyra stood in the restored crystal gardens of New Harmony watching human medical teams complete their work. Every Zephyrian who had been exposed to Void Hunter bioweapons had been healed. Every damaged structure had been repaired by human engineering teams. The colony was not just saved, it was better than it had been before the attack. Admiral Torres, Lyra said as the human commander visited the surface to oversee the final rescue operations. I don't understand. Your species has technology that could conquer the galaxy. Why do you present yourselves as peaceful explorers? Torres considered the question carefully. Because we learned something from our violent past, Ambassador. Power, without restraint, leads only to destruction. We became apex predators to survive our world, but we chose to become protectors to honor the best parts of our nature. He gestured toward the human marines loading medical supplies for other colonies. We have the power to destroy civilizations, so we choose to save them instead. That's what it means to be human. As the Terran fleet prepared to return to human space, they left behind a galaxy that would never see them the same way again. The peaceful explorers had revealed their true nature. They were Deathworlders who had chosen to use their incredible power to protect rather than conquer. The message was clear to every species in the galaxy. Humanity was willing to be your friend, your trading partner, and your ally. But if you threatened innocence, you would face the wrath of Earth's apex predators. And as the Void Hunters had learned too late, nothing in the galaxy was more dangerous than humans who had decided to protect someone. The Deathworlders had come to war and the galaxy was safer for it.